Hi there, welcome to this week's Inside Track with Scottish Sun. Jim Delahunt here with me as usual. Jim, I'm joining you from Athens this week where I'm over here with Aberdeen. Needless to say, the Wi-Fi here is absolutely terrible, so I've had to go into commodity. So if cleaners and that start walking past, you'll know what's going on. But we took last week off. We missed Champions Day. We're sitting watching the results come in and thinking, thank God we were not involved in that 100 to 1 winners, 200 to 1 winners, things like that. For years, Jim, we've said the ground's been the problem at this meeting. Maybe it's just the end of the season. What was your take on it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the text I was getting about the 100 and 200 to win it, 200 to 1 winners were all about, oh, you said it was the ground for the last few years, and now the ground's fine. So what's the excuse this time? I don't think there are any excuses. I think the brutal reality of horse racing is that they're animals, and they come good at different times of the year. And if you look far enough back in the 200 to 1 chances form, I think it won the Mill Reef. So it's not a some of them were shocks in the sense that they were huge prices. But most of these horses, if they're in these races, they're capable of at least performing to the best of their abilities. Richard Fahey would not have sent that horse down there expecting it to be totally embarrassed, especially after it had a wind operation. I think that was forgotten about by a lot of people as well, that the horse had a wind operation. So yeah, these things are sent to try us. It was still a good day. There were still some great races. But it's end of season stuff on the flat. It's going to happen again this weekend. We're going to ignore the flat this weekend and concentrate on the jumps. But it is end of season stuff. Horses come good at different times of the year. It is actually the same for the jumpers. You'll have spring jumpers that'll have a great weekend this weekend, but you won't see them for dust come March or April. So we just have to deal with that. And let's see how we got on this weekend with Cheltenham back.
Well, Cheltenham's back and we're already getting our daily updates on Constitution Hill. There's people talking about what's going to win the champion hurdle, what's going to win the champion chase and things like that. Jim, we love Cheltenham, but this is too much, is it? No, just live your life in the moment. There's so much good racing to go between now and March. We really don't need to be wishing our lives away, do we?
Yeah, exactly. And as a horse lover, Robert, I have to say, I really do hope that Constitution Hill comes back. But as a pragmatist, I can't see it. I think the horse is gone. I think we can forget about Constitution Hill. He might come back to some kind of a level, but he's not going to be at the level that everybody thought he should be at. Good luck to them. Good luck to the owner. Good luck to connections. Good luck to the girl or guy who looks after him. But I'm afraid, from a form point of view, I think the horse is gone. Fantastic if he comes back. I'll be the first to take my hat off if he does. But let's move on. I know Ed Watson's got a column today in the Scottish Sun talking about the changes proposed at Cheltenham. Thank goodness next year is as is, and we can just go on with things. But more changes proposed at Cheltenham. Let's just go on with that as well. I mean, Cheltenham's far enough away. We can concentrate on the here and now, and fingers crossed we can maybe get a winner or two.
Well, let's hear how Constitution Hill's getting on the week before the fighting fifth. We don't need to be hearing about them
Exactly.
every day of the week for the next 2 months. I mean,
Exactly.
it's overkill. But there we go. The one thing we have to mention about the start of the core jump season is Sean Bowen. I mean,
Yeah.
10 winners for his last 12 rides. I mean, he really is the heir to McCoy and Richard Johnson, isn't he?
He really is. And oh, goodness. At what point can we be controversial and say that he's better than McCoy? Because he is rapidly getting there if he's not there already. I know not everybody like us, Robert, get a chance to see a lot of the midweek racing, but my goodness, some of the performances he is putting in on some of those horses which have no right to win, especially looking at them three out when they're so far back, and he's had them under the cosh for 4 furlongs. It's an astonishing show of horsemanship that he is putting up for everybody at the moment. We get a wider audience to those talents on a Saturday and maybe a Sunday on terrestrial TV. But those of us who are lucky enough to see him during the week, my goodness, he's rapidly approaching being the best we've seen for a very, very long time. And I don't say that lightly, because I can go back even further than you, Robert. I go back to the Johnny Frankums and people like that. And I thought Frankum was unbeatable in terms of class and horsemanship. McCoy surpassed that, and Sean Bowen, if he's not already past it, is getting there.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not got the big winners because of who he rides for. And that he's not got
Yeah,
the profile that maybe some of the other jockeys have got. But in terms of the raw talent, I mean, if you want anybody in a finish, Sean Bowen's your man, isn't he?
He's your man without a doubt, and I hope he has a good weekend, and I hope that a wider audience get to see his talents. But my goodness, you made a good point there that he is riding for Ollie Murphy, and he's riding for his big brother Mikey, and he's got a few other very good stables behind him as well. But the Ollie Murphy thing, I think I texted you last night, and I think he'd ridden 8 of his last 9 rides for Ollie Murphy. He'd won on
Mm.
since Tuesday. It's an absolutely astonishing partnership that's developing there. And good luck to him. Good luck to him.
That's a stable that's definitely going places as well. Albeit they don't have that top grade 1 performers at the moment. You know,
Yet.
a smatter in them that your Nichols or well, maybe no Nichols at the moment, but that Henderson's got, that Mullins has obviously got, that the Bromhead's got. He doesn't
Yeah.
have that level of horse, but Ollie Murphy's stable has been good investment there. Hopefully they'll start chipping away, and he will get that Saturday exposure that in the big top class races.
Yeah, I don't keep up with the social scene in terms of who's pals with who, but I know that Ollie Murphy and Gordon Elliott were thick as thieves way back in the day. So I just wonder if they've got the same ideas and they take those ideas going forward, because it's certainly working for Murphy as it has done for Elliott, and I think Gordon will get a mention in the next 10-15 minutes.
Well, we'll kick on with Cheltenham on Friday, Jim, where we kick off on with a 2.5 mile handicap hurdle,
Yep.
1:15 tomorrow. And I like French Ship, who was running a huge race at Chepstow a couple of weeks ago, uh, before stumbling 3 out, came down. It was a really weird one because I actually took a step after the hurdle before
He
coming down.
did.
It was a really odd one, but I mean, he looked like he was going to go on and win the race that day. Kept on the same mark, 128. I was actually surprised he's as big as a 15-2 here. I was expecting to be much shorter. I thought the world and its granny would have cottoned on to how well he was running there, but maybe shows how competitive the race is there. But I thought Friendship has to have a big chance. Another one I want to flag up in the race is American Sniper, who maybe not for this meeting because this horse has only ever won in November. Off a mark 122, he's looking dangerous, but he's a horse that needs a couple of runs. His history will tell you that he'll run in October and then he'll pop up somewhere in November. So just keep it when you're watching this race and tomorrow. Just keep an eye on American Sniper and see if there's a bit of life there, and put him in your tracker for next month.
Yeah, Pipe's horses are running not too badly at all, Robert. I think one was very disappointing yesterday, went off favourite after winning first time up from Ireland. But apart from that, they're running reasonably well. Friendship, I totally understand that case. I get that. I saw that race that you mentioned. But the one I've had an eye on ever since I saw the entries for this is Navajo Indy. It's trained by Tom Simmons. Gavin Sheehan's going to be taking the ride. This horse, we haven't seen it since February. It was third in the big handicap hurdle, the 100 grand, 150 grand handicap hurdle at Newbury. It used to be called the Schweppes many years ago. It was fourth in a very valuable handicap hurdle at Windsor before that. I remember saying last year that I thought he was going to be better over 2.5 miles. He gets the chance to prove that this weekend. He goes over 2.5 miles first time up. The handicap mark wasn't going to change because of that superb big handicap form. I think that'll be fine. I think the 2.5 miles will help him improve. And I think Navajo Indy, probably 6, 7, 8 to 1. Might be some each way value in that, but I'll certainly be backing it on Saturday. Friday. Navajo Indy.
Yeah, I think one we have to mention as well, Jim, is Jazzy Matty, who's the
Yep.
one of the Grand Annuals, going back over hurdles here. I'm at £11 lower than his chase rating. Technically, I mean, you look at it in the faction figures, I think he's probably thrown in, but he's not won a hurdle race since the Fred Winter 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He pulled up over hurdles at Punchestown over 2 mile 5. So doesn't he look like he's a penalty kick? 17-2. The one thing I would say, his trainer, Kane Collins, is no mug, and when he comes across to Cheltenham, you have to give them a proper look.
Yeah. Without a
Jazzy
doubt.
Matty, I mean, it wouldn't surprise you if he popped up and won, but I'm not entirely convinced he's going to be so well in that you would think on his the disparity between his chase mark and his hurdles mark. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a great race to get started. It's a race that we don't have to go mad on. We can have little opinions to see how the season starts at Cheltenham. I'm quite happy with Navajo Indy, but I'll be keeping an eye on Friendship. You always keep an eye on Jazzy Matty with a view to the future, I think. An American Sniper, well mentioned for David Pipe as well. And we get a really good novices chase after that at 150. And the one I like here is one of Gordon Elliott's, which I'm actually surprised to see it running. So the very fact that he is coming over 9 days after winning a Grade 3 at Punchestown, I think tells its own story, because I thought he won well that day. I watched the race live. It wasn't bad quality at all for this stage of the season. And King of Kingsfield, I'm not worried about the penalty here. I think he's a class act. 2 1/4 at Punchestown, 2 miles at Cheltenham. I believe the going's good to soft. It'll be absolutely fine. And I think he could just be too classy for the ones that the Brits are in against him here. So King of Kingsfield, the one for me in the 150. I appreciate it'll be short, but we have to drop a short one in now and again.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised to see Country Mile put in his favourite for this race because I
Yeah,
mean, that one was beat by Alnalam. You talked about it a few weeks ago. Now there are £5 swinging the weights here, so you would entitle them to get closer. But I thought
yeah.
Alnalam looked like a horse that could go on further for the experience of winning the last time. And I thought at 4-1, Alnalam at the prices is probably the one I'd be with at the moment. So. I would totally respect your King of Kingsfield though, Jim. He was the best hurdler on the ratings among
Yeah.
this lot. And he's also three-time winner over fences now, so he's got a big experience advantage over them. So I'll not be going mad taking you on.
Jack Kennedy rides, and just a mention here, since we're so into jumping on this programme, what a tremendous feat Gordon Elliott completed last week, sending 6 horses to America for a meeting at Far Hills and coming back with 5 winners, including the American Grand National. Now, I know that some people say it's a jumped up point to point, but it is a very, very valuable jumped up point to point. And to come back there with 5, I don't think anybody's ever gone abroad and had more than 2 or 3.
Mm.
I think he's gone abroad with 6 horses, 1 meeting, and come back with 5 winners. I just don't think this has had the applause that it merits.
He's actually been bagging in loads of winners since I came on this
Yeah,
programme and said he was out of form. So maybe he should be sending me a bag of carrots or something for
exactly.
taking the hex off him. But we'll move on to 225, Jim. 2 mile conditional jockey hurdle. Torquay Road catches the eye here for that man Collins again.
Yeah,
Two-time winner in Ireland, up £5 in his Irish mark to 118 to race here. Just scrambled home a bit the last time at Galway, so I just wonder if the British handicapper might just have him too high. And in that case, I'm going to back Le Looper, who's going to be ridden by jockey Tom Broughton, who's in great
yeah,
form, who came up to Sedgefield and won earlier in the week, won at Stratford as well. He's 2 out of 2 for his last 2 rides. Winner of the Mayor's Handicap at Kelso in March, which we had a horse that we liked a few weeks ago was an on-runner, Surrey Bell, in behind, so that's good
yeah,
form. Next twice hasn't been as great, but there was enough in its run at Newton Abbot last time out when Inside Man just outclassed the whole field
yeah.
to show it can be a competitive off this new mark 115. Dropped £2 for Newton Abbot, so I think Le Looper at 14-1 each way will be one to keep on saying you'll get a run for your money there.
Yeah, I'll cheer that one on for you. I'm going to tip one of Fergal's on Sunday when we get there, Robert. But moving on to the Grade 2 novices hurdle at 3 o'clock. I've gone quite big in this one in the inside track in the Scottish Sun Thursday, and that's a horse called Jackson Lamb. It's trained by that man John McConnell, who we all know has a tremendous record sending horses over to Cheltenham, not just this meeting, but meetings as the season goes on. Jackson Lamb now ran at Kelso last time and won under a penalty for winning at Bellewstown. Wasn't hugely impressive, but I do remember straight after that race, he said it was going to Cheltenham, and I thought, right, okay, wasn't that impressive here, but they're going to Cheltenham. And then I looked back at the Bellewstown run again, and he was much more impressive there. Now, that's a tight 2.5 miles at Bellewstown. It's a galloping 2 miles at Cheltenham. I don't think there'll be too much difference in terms of the stamina test because coming up that hill, Jackson Lamb will have no problem having got 2 mile 4 at Bellews and 2 mile 5 at Kelso. I think he'll have a little bit in hand here. I'm delighted that they're coming over and taking on the locals. I think Un Sense a la Vie for the Twiston Davis will probably go off favourite. I just think that wasn't as impressive as was made out to be at Market Raising last time. I'm not convinced about Dr. Blue for Sam Thomas, despite the fact that his horses we know are in good form, both of us having tipped up his Welsh Champion Hurdle winner a couple of weeks ago. Sir Galahad, you can't rule out Ollie Murphy and Sean Bowen. Of course you can't. But I just think Jackson Lamb at 16-1 looks like an each way bet. And that's the one that I fancy has been a top value bet on Friday.
Yeah, and then at 3:35 we've got a cracking 2 mile handicap chase where Matata looks as the obvious class angle and could just
Yeah.
get blitzing for the front here. But there's enough interesting ones in behind. I mean, I noticed Chester Williams, who was a cracking jockey a few years ago
Yeah.
for he's Nick Williams and Jane Williams. Started off with two winners out of two. Newton Abbott last Saturday, both ridden by Harry Cobden. So they team up again here with a horse, Uncle Phil, who was trained
Hmm.
by Willie Mullins. So it'll be interesting to see if he can make a wee bit of improvement. Now that's backing horses that have left the Mullins stables, the road to the poorhouse. That's for sure. But Chester Williams obviously started his training career with a bang, so be interested to see what he does with Uncle Phil. But for me, it's going to be hard not to back Jasco the Dam for Henry de
Yeah.
Bromhead. Was second at Listowel Festival over 2 mile one. There was a winner in behind Crows Eat the Apple Tart for Mick
Yeah.
Hunters. Races here off the same Irish mark, 129. I think the setup of the race will be absolutely perfect for him with Matata and Trapper Law probably going to force the pace. The other thing as well, I had a wee dig into the stats. Henry de Bromhead has had 8 runners in handicap chases at this October Cheltenham meeting in the last 2 years. He's had 3 winners and the other two have been placed. So he doesn't muck about. He's pretty much got them spot on when he brings them over for handicap chases this meeting. So it's short enough, 72. Just go to Dam though. I think I'm going to take that one.
I know you're going to tip a Russell Scudamore horse on Saturday. I'm going to go for Trapper in Law here. I'm hoping it's an each way price. His handicap, Mark Robert, as you well know, has dropped from a high of 143 down to 131. Now that's because he hasn't been winning, so that's fair enough. But I still think there's a lot of promise about this horse. I think a fast run 2 miles around Cheltenham should suit him. He jumps well. He's a lovely looking horse. I think, despite the fact he's £3 out of the handicap here, he's still £9 better than his peak mark of 143. And I think having had that run last time, which should have put him right, I just think this is a chance for Trapper Law to show that he's a very, very good 2 mile handicap chaser. So I'm going Trapper Law, but with full respect to Jasco de Dam.
Well, you mentioned the Russell Scudamore partnership there, Jim. And we move on to Saturday, where they've got Inox Allen in the 2.5 mile novice handicap. Now, if you cast your mind back to April when we did our Perth Festival special, I put everybody away by saying that this horse was the best horse in the race, but he wouldn't win because he wouldn't blow his novice status so late in the season. And stood watching in horror as he bolted up by 11 lengths at, I think it was 12 to 1 that day.
Yeah.
Not a penny on. Was standing with my hands on my head, feeling like a complete mug. So we end up here. This is his last chance to run in this company now. So he's no longer a novice after the end of October. So last chance to run a novice handicap. Find it interesting that they didn't mop up a few of these races in the summer with him. They just put him
Yeah.
away, give him a break, bringing him back for this. He's up £11 for Perth with the first time visor at Perth really made a huge difference to him. He looked a completely rejuvenated character. I just think if he runs to that level of form again, he should be there or thereabouts. Next left, who he beat well at Perth that day, was leading to it at Worcester not that long ago before
Yeah.
coming down. I think that one probably would have won. Dare to Shout was in behind that day, smashed it aside, came out and won at Carlisle a few weeks ago as well. So I just think Inox LN, the fact that they blew his novice status, whether they meant to or whether they didn't mean to, we'll
Yeah.
never know. But the fact that they never mopped up a few summer races with him and they've kept him to go here before going into open company, I think Inox LN will be worth a second look on Saturday in the 110.
Yeah, very much so. So we're hoping for a good weekend for Lucinda Russell and Michael Scudamore. I'm going to move on to the 220, which is the 100 grand handicap chase on the Saturday card. Interesting to see 3 card Bragg is declared. I thought that I tipped it up last time, ran a very good race in defeat, finished a very good second. I think that'll go well. But the one down the bottom is one that I fancied a couple of weeks ago, Robert. Ho Jolie Smoke. I tipped it up for Chepstow. Didn't run because of the ground change there. I suppose that is a slight negative in that he wanted to get a prep run in before this 100 grand race. But I think Ho Jolie Smoke is very much a young chaser on the up. I think he's got Cheltenham written all over him. He runs well at Chepstow. He handles Newbury, a big galloping track. He jumps the fences at Sandown. He's won twice there. Those Sandown fences, MD that's been will know they're every bit as stiff as the ones at Cheltenham. Ho Jolie Smoke, I think, is still on a nice mark. He's only £2 up for his latest win. The Skeltons haven't just gone on fire just yet, but this is the time of year that they usually do. And Ho Jolie Smoke is the one for me in the 220.
Yeah, I thought just going on this Henry de Bromhead angle, the short goal has to come into calculations. Was second in this race last year to stablemate Senior Chief, and then was fifth in the Ultima off 132, which is the market runs off here. So I think the short go is definitely going to be there or thereabouts, as will the changing man, who was put in his place by Caldwell Potter at Aintree, but was second to Mayertown in the Ultima before that. He's only £2 higher than he was that day. So if he's fitting well, ready to go, then I think the changing man will not be far away.
Have you got anything else for Saturday at Cheltenham, Robert?
Probably it won't be for betting purposes, but in the 4-year-old hurdle at 3:30, give it to me. OJ just looks a level above. Sets a clear standard. Won the novice final at Sandown in the spring there, and showed he remains in good fettle. I mean, he's won twice and on the flat at Epsom, so I would imagine that one I'll go out and win in the 3:30. Give it to me, OJ.
Just before we go into Kelso, I want to go back to Friday and just mention Mole Court in the 4:45. I should have mentioned that earlier. Won the race 2 years ago. It's the Amateur Riders Handicap Chase. That was under Jack Andrews. He's got James King on board this time for Ben Pauling. Mole Court, I think, will run a big race 4:45 Friday. But we're delighted that despite the delights of Cheltenham, we have a really good card at Kelso on Saturday.
Yeah. And the 210, we talked about Cosmic Blizzard before Perth a few
Yep.
the September meeting, and I thought it made look finished fourth that day. I thought there was a lot to like about that performance and its stable debut after 5 months off. Raced up at the pace the whole way around, just blew up between after the last against two race fit rivals and another one who's won and been second since. He actually got dropped a pound for that. So I think Cosmic Blizzard and the 210. The other thing as well, Lucinda Russell has had 7 winners on this day in the last 2 seasons.
Right.
Three of them ran at Perth, September meeting before they ran here, and the other four ran at Kelso's last meeting. So this one ticks the box in that he's had his prep run at Perth and now goes to Kelso. So I would expect Cosmic Blizzard to win. And if you're just taking that little fact that she runs him at Perth and runs him at Kelso before having them tuned up to win on this day, that also brings Whistle Stop Tour into it in the 3:55.
Yeah.
Although we banged the drum for this horse a lot last year, Jim. And after the two Perth blowouts, we really need to see a bit more from him to just prove that he is the horse that we thought he was. Glad to see him going back left-handed again because I don't think he wants to go
No.
right-handed one bit. I don't think he likes Perth one bit. I wouldn't expect to see him back there. So just going on that thing that Lucinda tunes her horses up for this Kelso meeting by running them at Perth in September and
Yeah.
running them at Kelso in September. I think Cosmic Blizzard will be cherry right to win the 210.
Well, I'm just going to put two up, one against you there, and it's a horse called Holy Bowley, trained by Dara Burke. Danny McMenamin's going to take the ride here. Now, this is very much one that I can't back up on the figures because the race that ran in last time at Hexham, the first five in the betting, the first five were all pulled up, and Holy Bowley ended up finishing second. So it's very much a visual, this one. I thought it ran a really good race. I think Dara Burke knows the time of day when it comes to placing these novice handicappers. So I'm going to put Holy Bowley up against Cosmic Blizzard. And just in the last race, I thought this was worth a mention. Robert's conditional jockeys handicap hurdle. It's a horse in Nick Alexander's called Anamanda. Was a winner in France a few years ago before Nick got it, obviously. Has shown promise on countless occasions. And going to be ridden on Saturday in this conditionals race by Dom Hislop. Dom's allowed to claim £8 in this race. I think Anamanda was reasonably well handicapped anyway, but I think you're going to be hearing a lot more of Dom Hislop, and I suspect that £8 is going to be gold dust as the season goes on. So the fact that Nick had a winner the other day suggests they're coming into form. So I'm going to have Anamanda on side 5:05 Kelso Saturday.
And if we just go back in time, the 4:30, I made the case for Thistleask, who's
Yeah,
joined the Skeltons after leaving James Ewart. Chepstow, they pulled it out because of the ground. He's declared here. Same applies to the other week. I always thought this horse was a great improver for James Ewart, and I think it'll probably take a step forward now being trained by the Skeltons. So I would expect Thistleask to be really competitive in the 4:30. It was also, Jim, it was interesting to see Doyen Dubar moved from the Pauline Robson yard. The horse hasn't been declared, but it's been moved from the Pauline Robson yard to Nicky Richards.
yeah.
So wasn't declared this morning, but that's one to keep an eye on in the weeks to come because you would think Nicky would do a good job with that.
Yeah, a very good horse. And I remember speaking to David Parker, Pauline's partner, a couple of times last season, both before and after this horse had run, and they rated this horse very, very highly indeed. I think Nicky, with the greatest respect to the Parkers and the Robsons, I think Nicky might just be able to get a real tune out of this horse. So very much one to look after and look forward to and keep an eye on as the season goes on.
Yeah, and we've got good Sunday racing as well, Jim, down at Aintree. Have you got anything there you've got an eye on?
Yeah, I was just going to mention one, and obviously we don't have declarations at the moment, Robert. But I think this horse will run, and it's a horse called Serious Challenge for Fergal O'Brien. 35 grand handicap hurdle over 2.5 miles at 3:30. I kept an eye on this horse all last season. I think he's a real improver. I think 2.5 miles will bring out the best of him. Might even be three in time, but 2.5 first time up for Fergal, whose horses are running really, really well, banging in winners right, left, and centre. And that'll be the one that I'll be looking out for 3:30 on Sunday. But I will have more in the diary column in the Scottish Sun.
Yeah, I mean, there's a veterans chase. I always like these veterans chases. It's good to see the old timers going around the track doing their thing. Although there is probably too many of them now. I think we talked about that last season. Every
Yeah.
card seems to have a veterans chase, but this one seems particularly good, and I like Happy Go Lucky in it, who's tumbling down the ratings. He was rated 152 in his last run for Kim Bailey. He's now off 138. I mean, he was fourth in the Ultima behind Town, was fifth at Aintree in a good handicap, a few winners in behind. He's been dropped another pound for that. So, although he's 11, he's run well off breaks before. And this is a far easier race than the ones he's been contesting. So, course and distance winner as well. A wee bit of rain in the forecast, so that would help his cause as well. So he's been found at 72 in the anti-post market. I mean,
No.
you're not going to pay off the mortgage with him, but I thought happy go lucky. And then we've got the old roan, Jim. You and I have no fingers left after having them burned so many times by Hoyce and yours, so we can't go down that road, even though he is a massive 10 to 1, but we just can't do it. And I think Imperial Saint is the one
Yeah.
to be on side with there. I mean, course specialist, form figures are 1-1-1-2 at the track. He's won over 2 miles, 2.5 miles, second over 3 mile one. So the 2 mile free tip here won't bother him. Hit the bar with him in April when we put him up at the Grand National Festival. So I would think Imperial Saint will win the old run. You'll be doing that in your column on Sunday?
I'll be looking at that for the column, but interesting you mentioned Town and Ahoy Senior. Scudamore, Peter Scudamore, not Michael, was quoted this week as saying that Town surprised them by working better than Ahoy Senior this week. Now, they always think Ahoy Senior works well, so how good is Town going to be? Get that in the notebook for the big race that's going for. But Ahoy Senior, you might just work badly and go and win. That might just be the secret. Work badly, win.
But as you say, Jim, we've went to the well too many times, Jim, haven't we? I mean, I'd love it to win, but we can't have any financial interest this time. So,
We'll just be cheering them on. We'll just be cheering them on. But Sunday, I think by the time we get the decks for Sunday, Robert, it's going to be a really good card. And there's not a bad card at Wincanton as well. So looking forward to that too.
good man, Jim. Thanks very much. Thanks, folks. Best of luck with your bets.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks, everybody.